So many problems are solved just by talking about it. My name is Steve. I am the Affordable Life Coach. If you're interested, my email is in the description. There seems to be, we've lost the skill to have uncomfortable conversations with people, to be honest in our communication. And I believe a huge contributor to that is now things are done through text messaging, email, and there's a disconnect of feeling confident and comfortable about telling people how you honestly feel. I know that sounds like a novel concept this day and age, but I'm always amazed in coaching sessions that when there is a need for a person to set a boundary, a need for a person to have an uncomfortable conversation, oftentimes they'll say, "Oh, what do you think? Can I do it by text? Can I send an email?" And it's foreign to me that this is even an option, and that relationships get strained to the point where uncomfortable conversations are now become a big deal. Instead of having an ongoing open communication with the people in our lives about what bothers us, what we like, what we don't like, what things they do that has annoyed us, what things they do that we appreciate, and setting boundaries and just being transparent and open. And a lot of clients will say, "Oh, if I do that, it's going to lead to confrontation." Well, that's what happens when you let things accumulate and then you engage in passive aggressive behavior by not returning someone's call, not returning their email, and just shutting or tuning the person out instead of communicating with them or ghosting them. And that's another big thing. It's so refreshing to meet people that just can tell you the truth and not worry that you're going to be upset with them, you're not going to like them, that your feelings are going to be hurt. Because one of the rationalizations I get in coaching sessions why people don't openly communicate with other people in their lives, so they'll vent to me and say, "Oh, this person did this. It's really bothering me. It's really frustrating me, and I don't want to be around that person, or I don't like what my boss is doing. I just want to find a new job, or I'm really upset with my mother-in-law, father-in-law." And inevitably, I always say, talk to them. Just have an open conversation. "Oh no, I can't talk to them because it'll lead to and escalate into a fight, and there'll be even more conflict." And that leads me to believe that people, one, are not accustomed to having open, honest, direct communication, and two, that they have let things just build up. And we don't want to do the passive aggressive. Part of what I work on with clients in coaching is developing social confidence, developing the muscle of courage by expressing how we feel even when it's scary, expressing unpopular opinions in a group that we know will be judged, criticized, ostracized, maybe even. And then we wonder why we're anxious, we're stressed, we have strained relationships, or we're not really deeply connected with other people. It's because of all this suppression. And you feel like, you can, once you start expressing how you feel like you can breathe, you feel like you can relax, you feel like you can be comfortable with people and honest with people, and you don't store all these emotions, this anger, frustration, or pain in your body. Mine gets stored in my chest, and other people they get muscle aches and pains in their shoulders and their neck. A lot of it is just because we're so repressed in our communication. We're so repressed in our honesty. It's now become to the point, if you're honest with someone and their feelings are hurt, it's your fault. I'm not talking about being mean or vicious or rude, but just communicate honestly and don't use the excuse, because I get this in coaching sessions as well. People say, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm like, because I'm very honest in my coaching sessions, because that's what I want my clients to model out in the real world. And believe it or not, it does take practice to have this type of liberating communication. It does definitely take practice and time. And they'll say, oh, I don't want to be honest because I'm going to hurt them. And I'm like, that's not your first concern. Your first concern is that you are going to be hurt because they're going to react negatively. They're going to judge you. They're going to criticize you. They're going to blame you. They're going to shame you. And you do it anyways, because otherwise we are only living a portion of who we are. We're only showing the world a portion of who we are. And that's because so many of us, especially in this cancel culture and this climate, we're living in a state of low to mild level of fear. And so you can't even communicate with people. And sometimes when you communicate with people, they get all emotional, they get all angry, they start calling you all kinds of derogatory names. And then I say, well, okay, if it escalates to that point, this person has shown their true colors, and you could find someone else, to connect with or be friends with. But there's so much cowardice in our society, and then we can't understand why we're anxious, why we're stressed, why we have low self-esteem, why we have social anxiety, because we don't practice it. We don't practice being truthful. And when you start not practicing being truthful with other people, then you start deceiving yourself. And that's one of the beautiful things when I'm coaching clients, is helping them realize their own self-deception. And it's amazing how easily we deceive ourselves, lie to ourselves, rationalize, excuse. And that's why I love the freedom of just being organically, authentically yourself, unapologetically. It makes such a difference. And what else you'll find is that other people will be drawn and attracted to you. And yes, there are going to be people who are going to be repelled by that. There are some clients who don't like my honest style in coaching sessions. They want to live inside of their own self-delusion or their fantasy, or they're attached to their lies or the narrative that they've manufactured for themselves. And so I'm not the right coach for them. But the clients who do want to take a good look at in the mirror, and it's reciprocal. They give me honest feedback in my coaching sessions, what's working, what's not working. But again, it's modeling that type of interaction. So when they get out into their friendship or the real world, the workplace, the family, they're much more skilled and courageous at this type of communication style. And it just will set you free. And you might only attract, let's say you talk to 10 people. If only 10% of the people are attracted to you being yourself, that's huge. That's huge. Why be phony and why put on a mask for people that they're not your kindred spirits? They're not part of your tribe. They're not people that you're going to connect with. And it's really interesting because I notice this will come up in myself at times, that it's almost instinctual to people please. And I'll just catch myself when I do it automatically as a default mode, and then I'll reflect on it. Okay, you know what? I want to be more self-aware in these situations, especially with small talk. That's not something I really enjoy, not something I'm really good at. And I notice with small talk, I can more easily default to that type of mode of not being authentic, not being myself. But I've grown tremendously in that, but it takes work, it takes practice. It's not something that just happens overnight. And one of the things that you can do is just pause before speaking. Because I notice if I pause before speaking, especially in small talk, I'm more likely to tap into what I really want to say or how I really feel. We have been conditioned from a young age to smile and say nice things, and don't say anything that can hurt another person's feeling, and don't be radically honest with people, and just keep things to yourself. And it's not conducive to being content with who you are. And that's what I notice is like there's so much discontentment with who we are that we try to change, us as a culture, we try to change the shell, the superficial part of ourselves, get more muscles, dye our hair blonde, wear really nice fancy designer clothes, losing weight. That's not that there's anything wrong with that, but just getting obsessed with the body and our body image and how we're being perceived. And that's only reflects how shallow we become inside. And we become shallow inside because we basically sold out. We've sold out for what is easy, safe, and comfortable. And so when that doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel good, then we try to compensate it with external things. And it's always comes back to be who you are. I work with clients that are interviewing for jobs and saying the most important thing is just be authentic in the interview, and that comes across as unique, believe it or not. I used to interview people, and I just always interviewed a lot of people, and I'm always amazed how few people actually come to the job interview just being themselves. They're almost like going to the job interview trying to perform, and it just comes across as dishonest or insincere. And they're just trying to, get the approval of the interviewee instead of like advertising, hey, this is who I am and this is what I bring to the table and to this job. And then you just feel emboldened. And then you can start speaking up in situations where you see wrongdoing happening. I mean, most of the time, people just walk by and don't speak up, and like a dog with their tail between their legs. It's not my business. I don't want to get involved. And obviously, you only do it if it's like a safe situation. But there's a lot of ills in our society and political discourse right now. And everyone's too afraid to speak up because they're worried what other people say. Are they going to be canceled? On and on and on. And it doesn't feel good to live a life in fear. And at least if you are authentic to yourself, you can wake up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and feel good about who you are. Feel like, hey, I'm bold, I'm courageous, I'm proud, I'm authentic. And then you just enter that slipstream flow of life, because it's really exhausting performing. Oh, okay, what do I say here so it's going to get the most approval? And oh my God, this person, kind of made a smirk or like a frown at what I said, so I'm going to change that. No, stay the course. Just be who you are. I know it sounds easier. It's easier said than done, but again, it does take practice, and it's something that is missing. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but the rewards are huge. And then you don't have all this unresolved friction in relationships. So it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And then the nice thing, side benefit, as I said, is you meet beautiful people who are attracted to your authentic self instead of the image that you're trying to portray. If you're interested in coaching, affordable life coaching, my email's in the description. The consultation is absolutely free, and everybody benefits from it. Everybody benefits from life coaching. Some people think, I don't need it. So I encourage you to give it a try, at least a consultation. There's nothing to lose. And if you'd like to support the channel, in the description is my PayPal link. It's greatly appreciated. And I would like to hear your comments about being authentic. And are you able to do it? What challenges do you have in being authentic? And what successes do you have to be authentic in being authentic? And to me, that's really what draws me to other people. And it's almost like a magnet. When I see authentic people and they'll say the unpopular opinion, despite the consequences, I'm just drawn to those type of people. There's something very attractive about those personality types. Thanks for watching, and look forward to the next video. Bye-bye.